First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my sister use my son's yacht for her wedding? My son Thomas passed away a year ago at the age of 25. He was such a sweet soul. He was kind and sympathetic. Despite having suffered so much, he still had a joyful smile. He wanted to be an engineer, but unfortunately he couldn't continue his education. He was involved in a car accident and had a severe injury and became paralyzed. I did everything I could to help him regain his life, but what happened was devastating. We were spending time at the hospital while my family were getting together celebrating birthdays/weddings, etc., and excluded me and Thomas. I asked them to show up, at least show emotional support to Thomas, but they didn't visit. I took Thomas home and I became his primary caregiver. I found that Thomas was home 24/7 with no family visiting us, even on holidays. Every time I complained, my sister would suggest I put Thomas in home care. Eventually, I stopped begging them to visit and include Thomas in their events and check in on him. They treated Thomas like he was dead. He suffered from anemia. It affected his heart function and his health was getting worse. 4 months before he passed away, I decided to achieve at least one goal he had in his mind. He always wanted to get his own yacht and wanted to buy it himself. I sold a land I had for 5 years and I bought a yacht. I told him that it was his. He was overjoyed. We started spending most of his time there, on weekends and on holidays, till he suddenly passed away, and it was devastating. I couldn't visit the yacht till 6 months after his passing, as this is where I remember him the most. My family visited, made Facebook tributes, hanged pictures of him, and visited his grave. I was still upset with them, and I kept my distance. But last week, my mother and sister were visiting and asked if they could use my son's yacht for my sister's wedding this summer. I declined, but they talked about how expensive it is to rent a yacht and that mine was perfect. I corrected my sister, told her that's Thomas's yacht. Thomas, who they refused to visit and comfort during his dark times. My sister denied all that and said she didn't come to talk about the past, and that as her brother I should help out. I argued with her and my mother after they said I was declining out of spite and called me selfish to punish them for Thomas' death. My brother said I was wrong because the family is keeping his memory alive by talking about him and that I should get therapy, otherwise I'll be causing people to cut me out. Now for the top comments. OP, if they did not visit once while he had all this, say, fine, you can use his yacht as many times you've visited him during that time. Not a hole, by the way. This, not a hole. So sorry you're dealing with this. Not a hole for this. Very sorry for your loss. But you might benefit from therapy for you, not to appease your family. Thank you. I have a group of people who also experienced what I've experienced, and I meet with them every week and we talked for hours. Before that, I was in therapy. My brother doesn't know that because of how distant and the rest of the family have been. Not a hole. They talked about how expensive it is to rent a yacht and that mine was perfect. I corrected my sister, told her that's Thomas' yacht. Thomas, who they refused to visit and comfort during his dark times. My sister denied all that and said she didn't come to talk about the past and that as her brother I should help out. I argued with her and my mother after they said I was declining out of spite. So what if you are declining out of spite? She contributed negatively to your son's last few weeks. She's lucky you aren't agreeing to it, only to sell the yacht a day before. I mean, they even admit he has something to be spiteful for. They know what they did is wrong. They just don't care. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for kicking my brother and his wife out after they asked my wife to host their baby shower 2 weeks after she had a stillbirth? My wife and I were expecting our first baby boy together. We've been married for 3 years and my wife had 1 miscarriage before, and we were really optimistic about this pregnancy. But the unexpected happened and my wife had a stillbirth 2 weeks ago. It all happened so fast. We thought we planned for everything, but all that was unexpected. We were devastated to say the least. We haven't gone out nor talked to anyone during these times. My mom and family visit to check on us. They bring meals, books, and they ask how we're doing every day. Yesterday, my brother and his wife were visiting as well. His wife's pregnant with their second, and the moment they sat down, she started talking about her baby shower. My wife and I were getting uncomfortable as she went on about what they're going to do. My mom was sitting there when my brother's wife looked at me and my wife and asked my wife if she's willing to host her baby shower party. We were stunned. My wife almost cried while my brother just sat there, arms folded, and smiled at us. His wife said no one is available, so she asked my wife to do it, and that I'll be nice for her to change the mood. I immediately lashed out on her and told her to stop because she was acting selfish and inconsiderate of what we're going through. She played dumb as I reminded her that we just lost our son and asked how could she possibly think it's okay to even ask something like that. My brother told me to calm down, but I lost my temper. My wife went inside a room and I kept telling them what an insensitive request my sister-in-law just made. Shockingly, no one thought it was a big deal. We got into an argument and my brother blew up when his wife started crying. I told them to leave and my mom didn't like that I was yelling at them and lashing out. After they left, my mom reminded me that they're the ones sending meals and checking on me and my wife. She berated me for half an hour and told me to wait till they calmed down and apologize because I was out of line with how I behaved. I haven't talked to them. My dad says whatever happens, I shouldn't treat them like that and that my anger was misplaced and I hurt the people around me, which was unacceptable. Two things to point out. I'm not sure about them lacking intelligence because they're both intelligent enough to obtain a degree. My sister-in-law is a school secretary and my brother is a dentist. Also, I really thought my wife's family were worse because they wanted to have some of our baby's things to take with them before leaving town after they came. We're in low contact with them. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. First of all, I'm sorry for your loss. I hope you guys are getting okay. Secondly, literally reading that filled me with anger on your behalf. How insensitive and selfish can you be? Also, seriously? Planning a baby shower will change your wife's mood? She's not upset because she banged her toe. She lost a baby. Your wife was almost crying and they still didn't stop? You were well justified. This is perfect. I'm livid just reading the post. Sister-in-law and brother are truly horrible people. I genuinely can't think of exactly what thought process led them to think this is a reasonable request. After they left, my mom reminded me that they're the ones sending meals and checking on me and my wife. Yeah, and now you know why. Not out of love, but out of attempting to buy compliance through indebtedness and guilt. You don't owe them a damn thing. There was no way in hell any reasonably adjusted person would be that tone deaf. That was malicious, and I admire your restraint. Not a-hole. Yeah, I felt awful after my mom told me that. She managed to make me feel as if I created this terrible situation. Not a-hole. Forget them for now and talk to people who love and support you. Not a-hole. Your sister-in-law is tacky as hell and completely oblivious to decency and social norms. Your mom as well, and fortunately, your brother should have told her to shut the F up about her baby shower. You protected your wife as best you could, considering the circumstances. Sending people aid when they're having a crisis does not give you the right to treat them like robot slaves. The next story is titled, Would I be the a-hole if I told my mom that suing would be pointless even though it means a lot to her? I feel like an a-hole even thinking about this, but I also feel she needs some hard truth. When me, 25 male, and my sister, 27 female, were 9 and 11, my mom had a baby, our sister. She lived for 6 weeks before passing away from SIDS. As most can imagine, my mom was never the same since. The same day our sister passed away, CPS stepped in and removed me and my sister from the home. I didn't know why at the time, but she was awarded custody of us 2 years later. During this time, my sister, who was placed in a different home, was dealt a horrible hand, which I can't explain here. But because of this, when she was released into my mom's care, she was just broken. Started drinking heavily at 13, dropped out of school, etc. Mom refused to get her into therapy for help because I dealt with the death of a child and worked through it myself, so you can work through this yourself too. My sister never went into full detail about the events she was faced with, thank God, because that probably would have landed me in jail. Anyways, my mom spoke of suing DHHS for years following that. Went to law school to become a lawyer to better her case and everything. 8 months ago, she put in the paperwork to sue DHHS for taking us back then. The next week, I was helping mom move and came across all the paperwork and files from our DHHS case years ago and I took them. I shouldn't have, but I did. I went digging. Turns out that my mom's ex-alcoholic boyfriend was a main suspect in my sister's passing. So we were lied to. It wasn't Sid's. It also stated in the paperwork that my mom was given a strict order to go no contact with her ex while we were in state custody, and she failed to do so. That's why it took her 2 years to get us back. Given that I now know all of the information, I want to explain to my mother that suing would be a giant waste of time and money. She has asked us to help her out with lawyer fees and to speak on the stand on her behalf. My sister, still broken, has outright refused and has gone no contact. She was older and knew then that my mom was hiding something about the case and doesn't trust my mother and holds a lot of resentment. Anyways, would I be the a-hole if I told my mom that she shouldn't sue and that now that I know everything about the case, I will not be vouching for her on the stand? Not the a-hole. I'm so sorry you have been through all this. If you haven't already, get yourself some therapy. I have gotten myself into therapy and it has helped me a lot. Unfortunately, my sister hasn't been so fortunate. She tried getting help through therapy and was basically told that she was lying and it was all in her head. What kind of awful therapist told her that? Did multiple therapists say this independently or was it just one? It was 3 different therapists, which is even more messed up. I think they thought she just wanted meds, honestly. Was it when she was younger? I hate to say this, if you haven't considered it, but your mom could have collared the treatment. She checked herself into therapy on her own when she left our house at 16, and then tried again 3 years ago because she still has nightmares and severe post-traumatic stress disorder. The last therapist she went to told her that she has kids now. If she was to get diagnosed with mental health issues, then it would be possible that CPS would look into her stability and possibly deem her unfit. She immediately pretended to be okay and took herself out of therapy because of that one comment. She won't go back. Not at a-hole. As much as your mom tries to play herself as the victim, she's at fault. She lied to you. She contacted her presumably dangerous boyfriend when she was ordered not to, and maybe most importantly, she denied therapy for your sister. Mom refused to get her into therapy for help because I dealt with the death of a child and worked through it myself, so you can work through this yourself too. That's appalling and shows your mom's true character. How selfish and a crap human does someone have to be to say something like that to her clearly traumatized and hurt daughter? It sounds like the "she was never the same since" is something she wants you to believe so as to use it as an excuse whenever she screws up / mistreats you. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom I will never be in her stepson's kid's life? My mom and stepdad married when I was 6 and his son was 9. We have never been close and he has never cared for a relationship with me. From the ages of 8 to 15, we fought like crazy and he made the fact we'll never be family clear to me. He also doesn't like my mom or our extended family. He has not said a single word to me in almost a decade and I'm fine with it. He invited me to his wedding because of the pressure from his dad, but did not speak to me. Neither did his wife. I actually didn't want to go, but my parents were really hoping it would bring some good, so I went for them. But after that, he decided that from then on I would not be included in anything regardless of whether his dad wanted him to include me. He and his wife had a baby recently and there is a small celebration planned. I am not invited, but my mom wanted me to send a gift anyway. I told her that wasn't going to happen. She said it would show me attempting to be a good aunt. I told her I will never be his kid's aunt, and that I am not part of his family and he is not part of mine. That I understood it was hard for her and my stepdad to see us not getting along, but he has made his feelings clear and I have no interest in forming a relationship with this child. I told her that child will always be a stranger to me. And it's okay if they have emotions about that, but they can't change things. Because the lack of relationship is a fact by now, and not something that will change. She was upset and told me I should still care because I am an aunt. Whether he likes it or not, and whether I like it or not. She said we are family, and we lived as siblings for a large part of our life. My mom told me to consider my actions, and now I'm wondering if she is right in any way. I don't know if I was a little too harsh when I have 0 issues with the baby. It's just a fact I will never be their aunt. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. No way. You shouldn't be expected to continuously go above and beyond for someone who's made it clear they don't want to have a relationship with you. Exactly. What she's doing is guilt-tripping you. Probably because you've been the most reasonable one up to date. It's easier to guilt you to keep at the relationship than try and convince your stepson to not be an a-hat. It's really unfair to you. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Relationships require consent of both, and failed relationships are a natural thing. Forcing one side to approach a side that doesn't care or want a relationship is folly. Not the a-hole. Just because your parents got married doesn't mean you're siblings. He made clear what he thinks of you, so why should you even think about being an aunt for that child? Exactly. Following the same logic, OP is not an aunt to this child. Not the a-hole. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe. Am I the a-hole for wanting to give up my son after discovering he isn't mine? Original post. The situation is nothing short of a nightmare. I'm angry, depressed, and sad, and I don't know what to do. I, 32 male, am shattered and don't know where to turn. My wife passed away last month, only 7 months after giving birth to our son. She developed peripartum cardiomyopathy, a rare and severe form of heart failure that can occur in the months following childbirth. Despite the doctor's best efforts, she didn't survive. Losing her so suddenly has left me heartbroken and in a state of constant grief. 3 weeks ago, my wife's best friend came over to visit. She was visibly nervous and eventually told me she had something sensitive to share. After some hesitation, she revealed that my wife had confided in her that she'd been unfaithful around the time our son was conceived and that there was a chance he might not be mine. I was stunned and angry. My wife's best friend was telling me this only weeks after my wife's death. It felt like an attempt to tarnish her memory. I couldn't believe it. I told her to leave and not to come back, convinced she was lying or trying to shift blame onto me somehow. The whole thing felt like a betrayal, and I tried to push the thought out of my mind. But once the idea was planted, it wouldn't go away. I kept wondering, what if she was telling the truth? After days of tormenting myself with this possibility, I decided to get a DNA test. It wasn't an easy decision. I felt guilty for even considering it, but I needed closure. Yesterday, the results came back. My worst fears were confirmed. My son isn't biologically mine. Now I'm in a turmoil. I loved my wife and I wanted to believe our son was a piece of her and me together. But knowing he's not biologically mine has left me feeling lost and betrayed. I keep looking at him, trying to feel the same bond, but the pain of my wife's infidelity is so fresh, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to move past it. I feel awful even considering it, but I don't know if I can raise him on my own. The betrayal I feel is overwhelming, and I don't know if I'm capable of giving him the love and care he deserves. It's breaking my heart, and I feel like a failure, but I also feel like I'm not equipped to give him the life he deserves. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Have you thought to call her friend and ask who the father is? That took a lot for her to tell you. She could have never told you. The right thing to do first is attempt to find this guy and inform him. I haven't contacted her since that day. However, your suggestion is sound and I definitely contact her for his details, if she has any. More than likely she knows who it is. Be sure to apologize and say it was such a big shock, but you appreciate she told you the truth. Do you recall looking back things that didn't add up? Did she ever mention a guy and put off like the person was a friend or co-worker? Did any guy stand out maybe at her service or anything like that? Did you look through her phone since finding out to see if there was anything on there? Look at her bank statement for unusual charges and when she could have been seeing him. Not the a-hole. It's not the child's fault. You should tell your wife's family so they can take him. I worry if you raise him, you'll always resent him. I'm so sorry for your loss and your wife's betrayal. Please get therapy so you can heal. Best of luck, Opie. Not the a-hole. The child will feel that hesitation and frustration by the time they're in kindergarten. They won't understand why, but they will sense the mood, no matter how well you try to mask it. Feelings aren't right or wrong, they're just feelings. But they can definitely influence others. Your late wife presumably has living relatives. Contact them about it and involve them in the situation. I wouldn't just hand a baby over to the state without telling them. But if an actual relative is willing to step up, that would be a better outcome. Not the a-hole. I'm sorry this has happened. Unfortunately, now he is a reminder of betrayal and a reminder that your life with your wife was a lie. It might be best to put him up for adoption or let your wife's family take him. You will never have the bond with him that you would have had if this truth had not been uncovered. I haven't told anyone yet about the test. However, I think it'd be best if I do so immediately. Now for the updates. I hadn't thought of contacting the friend, but I will now. The replies have really solidified what I have been feeling. The child is innocent, but I don't think I'd be able to love or care for him as well as I should. Informing the family will be my first step. Then contacting the affair partner if possible. Adoption will be my last resort. Many of you may believe I'm a monster, but put yourself in my situation. I hope you all understand. Mini update 2. I called her friend, apologized for my behavior, and also asked why she hadn't informed me as soon as she knew. She said her loyalties lay more with her friend than with me. Okay, fine. I asked her about the affair partner and she said she doesn't know, as it was a one-time thing. Apparently, it happened during her work time, whatever that meant, and during the daytime as she'd been told. I'm not fully understanding, but it seems like she was with a guy when she was supposed to be working. Many of you are suggesting I go through her phone or other social contacts, but I don't know any passwords. I never doubted her. We weren't controlling of each other and we gave each other plenty of privacy. The next step is informing the family. Both mine and hers. I want to clarify, I don't hate the baby, and I'm not so heartless that I'd throw him out of the house. Whatever happens will be handled according to procedure. I'm not going to instantly abandon a child just because he isn't mine. Now for the full update. Thank you to everyone who reached out with advice and support. I didn't get to respond to every message, but I really appreciate it. After finding out my son isn't biologically mine, I decided to tell both my family and my in-laws. My family was shocked and angry about everything, but they stood by me. My in-laws were also shocked but didn't believe it at first. They asked to see the DNA test results, and after seeing them, they suggested we do a second test with both families present, just to be sure. They said that if it confirmed he isn't mine, my late wife's sister, who has a 4-year-old daughter, would adopt him and I could take my name off the birth certificate if I wanted. I agreed and we did a test yesterday. The results should come in about a week. Honestly, I'm relieved with how things are playing out. There hasn't been any drama and everyone's been understanding. I've also talked to a lawyer who said getting my name off the certificate should be straightforward with the test results. Thank you all again for the support, and for those who offered to adopt him, I'm sorry, but your kindness means a lot. I'll update when the final results are in. Not the a-hole. This is heartbreaking knowing the last living piece of your wife's memory is just a reminder of her betrayal. It must be such a relief to have everyone on the same page and avoiding drama. I hope everything works out in a way that brings OP peace. I don't know. I think knowing she was a scumbag could also make it easier to let go of the idea that a perfect life was ripped from his grip. It's horrible in the short term, but wouldn't you rather have a dead crappy ex than a dead great one? I'm glad they are testing both sides of the family just in case a mistake happened at the hospital. Yeah, imagine if it wasn't the wife's either. I know a family who had this happen to them. Took a baby home, and 9 days later found out they were given the wrong baby to take home. It was a nightmare. Wow, what happened after they discovered it? Were they able to get their biological child? Yeah, they didn't even realize it wasn't their baby. The hospital called to let them know that their baby was back at the hospital and that the baby they had at home was someone else's. It turned out their baby had gotten sick. And after a blood test, the doctors informed the parents that their baby's blood type didn't match the one recorded at birth. I think they cross-checked other babies born around the same time and realized it was probably this family. They all took a DNA test, and when the results came out, they swapped the babies back. But there were plenty of tears and sobbing. The mothers had been breastfeeding the babies and were both quite attached to them. I think the kids are about 2 or 3 years old now, and last I heard, the families were still good friends. Next story. Am I the a-hole for wanting a divorce immediately after my husband's affair with a coworker? We have a 4-year-old. Context. Last week, I discovered Teams messages between my husband of 4 years and a coworker that were spicy, to say the least. They were claiming to have animalistic thoughts about each other, saying that caring for each other was their main priority, and my husband even told her that he thought they would be together a few years from now. Although the spicy messages seem to have mostly occurred in the last couple of weeks, their discussion history was long and extensive, with deep conversations about shared music, books, TV interests, things happening at home, and their feelings and emotions. One of my husband's messages implied that some version of this affair had been going on for at least 6 months. The night before this discovery, we had actually made a commitment to each other to really try again in our marriage. I prompted this conversation because I could sense something felt off or different. We both agreed to put in the effort. However, when I found the messages the next day, there was no indication that he was planning to end things with her, despite our conversation the night before. I think he intended to try with us and continue things with her as well. As soon as I discovered the messages, I left the house and haven't seen him in person since. My 4-year-old son and I are now back in the house, while my husband stays with his parents until we make long-term arrangements. Given other tumultuous times in our shared history, including drinking issues on his part around the time our son was born, I met with a divorce lawyer today and I'm strongly considering proceeding. I let him know this. The problem is that, of course, he's now telling me he loves me, loves our family, and wants me to come back home to make things right. He keeps saying I did things over the last couple of years that led to us being unhappy too. I've never cheated. That he was lonely, wasn't in the right frame of mind, and that because it wasn't physical. He didn't actually cheat, though in the messages he mentioned wanting a part of her body. He keeps saying he wants to have a conversation, but I feel like taking it off text messages will just give him more leeway to avoid certain questions I ask. At first I was so sure I wanted to move ahead with a divorce. Now I'm emotional and confused. Am I moving too quickly with all this? Should I have a conversation with him first? Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. He's guilting you and is only sorry because he was caught and you deserve better. Divorce the unfaithful sack of a turd and go live a fulfilling life with your son. Congratulations on losing the dead weight. My son is the single biggest reason I met with a lawyer today. Thinking of his future and wanting him to have security in his day-to-day life is keeping me going. You want him to see you modeling a healthy relationship, not a toxic one. Don't stay with a cheater. Don't fall for that sudden change of heart BS. Follow through with the divorce and make it hurt financially. That's the other hard part of me. Thinking about the finances element somehow adds to the guilt. The fact that he's blaming you for his cheating is unreal. He even predicted the end of your marriage in his messages to his girlfriend. He just gets to be her horrible partner a little sooner. Forgot to add she's married too. Okay, well, I'm petty as hell, so I'd tell her spouse what's going on. Update. Thank you to those who've shared their stories, offered their perspective. This has been immensely helpful, and I think got in my head in the right space to keep moving forward. Or at the very least, not halted today. Next story. Am I the a-hole for wanting to dump my boyfriend after he lost my savings in a scam? I'm currently trying to decide whether I should end the relationship or if it's even reconcilable. My boyfriend and I moved across the country for my job. He works remotely. I am the breadwinner, making 4 times as much as him. He has lived at home his whole life and has never paid bills before, aside from credit cards. When we arrived at our new home, he was in a trading group and seeing great returns. He convinced me it would be a good idea to invest my money too. So I did, and I fully accept the consequences of that. It turns out the group was a scam, and between the money we pulled together, we were only able to withdraw $10,000 of the $25,000 we invested. I invested $15,000, and he invested $10,000. Since I'm the higher earner, I told him to keep the $10,000, and I would work hard to recoup my loss since it's easier for me to do so. I asked him to keep the money as a nest egg and not to trade it. Fast forward a few months. I've recovered. I took us to a nice vacation and paid for most of it. No problem since I make more. We came home from the vacation and I began looking at homes to purchase so we could start our life together. I asked him if he could contribute a portion of the $10,000 toward a down payment for our house. He then informed me that he had attempted to trade the money to make back our loss and lost it all. He never even told me about it or consulted me before he did it. He has an expensive knife collection back home, and it's worth noting that half of his paychecks go toward paying off his debts, so he can't contribute much to bills. He won't sell off the collection to put himself ahead in life. Am I the a-hole for dumping my boyfriend for being poor with his money and making bad decisions? Girl, what? You can't be this afraid to be single. Have some self-respect. He lost money you worked for and you let him off the hook? Hey, the first incident is as much her fault as his. He's obviously an idiot, but anyone putting that kind of money into something needs to do their own research, especially if the person bringing the offer doesn't exactly have a strong financial background. No, you're sensible. Incompatible financial values are the major cause of divorce. I think it's hard because for the first year everything was storybook perfect. Felt like I was going to spend my life with this person. Then the financial woes started to unravel and it's just hard to accept. I know what I need to do, but reading outsiders' perspective makes me feel more confident and serves as a reminder that I'm not being irrational. Last story. Ex-husband requesting I message in a group text with his fiancée. I have been divorced for 12 years, and my kids with him are 15 and 17. We have very minimal contact. I really try to text only when necessary. Recently, I sent a courtesy text to my ex-husband about a small purchase for a necessity for my oldest, so that his dad doesn't buy it too. The follow-up text from him was, "Hey, I just want it to be known I want my fiancé included in the messages. Whatever you text, she knows anyway. No point leaving her out. If you leave your husband out, that's not my business. Whether you like it or not, she's just as much a part of their lives as I am. So in the future, please include her. I'm not trying to start anything. I feel like it's a respect thing to include her. Fiancé is my other half, and we make decisions together. Thanks." Am I the a-hole because I do not want to message both of them? In the past, when I tried to include her in an effort to get along, anytime there was a disagreement, it became a 2 versus 1 argument. And they had what I feel is verbally abusive communication. In this instance, my ex said I was being childish, ridiculous, etc. because I said no. He is relentless in this request. Not the a-hole. I will message you as required about our children. What you do with those messages, if you share them with your fiancé or not, is not my concern. I intend no disrespect, but how you handle your relationship is on you, not on me. And, to be clear, you don't get to tell me what to do, so stop trying. I'm petty. I'll include her in the texts when you add her to our custody agreement. Until then, per our legal paperwork, I will only be communicating with you. It's not your problem if his fiancé is so insecure about a relationship that's been over for 12 years. I often wonder if he messed up and she feels like she can't trust him. I don't understand step-parent insecurity. I left him 13 years ago and have never regretted it for a moment. Update. Am I the a-hole for not helping my daughter? Original post. My daughter, 22 female, went no contact with me 2 years ago. Before this happened, I was warning her about this guy she was dating who was full of red flags. He bombed her and isolated her from her family and friends. She dropped out of college despite my pleas to reconsider. She decided to move in with him, and since then, I never heard from her directly, but she would often ask my family members to ask me for money. The last thing I heard about her is that she has a 1-year-old child and her life is basically falling apart. The love of her life turned out to be a monster, and she is working 2 jobs to keep her family afloat. The friends she abandoned are now done with college and starting new careers in corporate, while she works at a dollar store and does Uber.
A family member showed me a screenshot of my daughter's Facebook post, basically calling me an a-hole for not stepping up and helping her. She also ranted about me not supporting her to finish college, unlike her friends' parents. I don't have much extra money and I am saving for retirement. She dropped out when I begged her not to. Plus, she also blocked my number. She knows where I live but has never attempted to drop by. Am I the a-hole for not reaching out and offering help? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Well, she got what she wanted. She lives with her beloved and she's the one who broke off the contact. She didn't give a damn about you. She pays for stupidity. Not the a-hole. Yeah, she did not give a damn about me. She only lives 10 minutes away, but never ever drops by to say hi, yet expects me to touch my life savings to help her out. I am thinking I could run out of money helping her, and when I need help, she won't be there at all. Your daughter hasn't learned a damn thing and isn't worth your money. The fact that she didn't try to talk to you and admit her screw-ups, but instead lied about you on Facebook to make herself look like an innocent victim is proof of that. Not the a-hole. This is why I am so conflicted whether to help her or not. I feel like I should help, but it won't do her any good at all. She would probably expect me to help all the time till my savings run out. Your daughter is a narcissist and is trying to manipulate others into helping her because her parent is an a-hole for not stepping up and helping her, while she never even attempted to make contact. Not the a-hole. It's sad, but it happens far too often. It's also sad that nowadays it is so easy for people to go no contact, but still expects you to reach out and help no matter what. Now for the update. Thanks everyone for your input. I sent a message to my daughter via a family member on Facebook and my son, and they both came to my house last night for dinner. I told them it was an open forum where we could air our grievances against each other, and from there, we would sort it out. Daughter hates me for not trying hard enough to reach out to her when she moved in with her boyfriend. She also hates that I never tried to accept her boyfriend. My reason is that she decided to drop out and be an adult. I felt disrespected by the hurtful things she said, and by blocking me, I got the message she did not want me around. I can never accept her boyfriend. He cheated on her many times and does not work. I am disgusted. Son hates me for not giving him the extra money I had saved for the rest of my daughter's college. He also said that if I didn't want to give it to him, I could have given it to her when she got pregnant. The reason is that I paid for his college too. Since my daughter did not finish, whatever extra money I had saved for her tuition, I moved it to my retirement savings. Why would I give it to him when I already paid for his education too? He graduated with 0 student loans. Also, why would I give it to her just because she got pregnant? Being an adult means you are responsible for your decisions. Me? I am disappointed that my daughter dropped out, moved in with her boyfriend, got pregnant, and is now living a hard life. I told her I worked my butt off to give her a good life, and that she was my little princess. I never wanted her to experience hardship in life, but she chose this life, and this is her reality now. I'm disappointed at my son for cutting me off and disrespecting me when I try to reach out. All in all, we were civil, but they suggested that I get a reverse mortgage so they can get their inheritance early, and that would help them buy their own houses. I said I would think about it. Yes, the classic, let's air grievances so we can hit you with new ways to disappoint us strategy. You're not the a-hole for standing your ground, but let's not sugarcoat it. Your kids are treating you like an ATM with a guilt trip feature. Your daughter expects you to welcome her chronically unfaithful, unemployed boyfriend with open arms, while your son seems to think extra money means my money now. And a cherry on top? They want you to risk your financial security so they can buy houses. Bold move, considering their track records in adulting. You've done your part. You funded their education, or attempted to, reached out despite being blocked, and hosted them for dysfunctional dinner. If they want to play the "you're a bad parent" card, remind them that being a parent doesn't mean you're obligated to enable bad decisions or jeopardize your future. Keep that retirement fund intact. Sounds like you'll need it for peace of mind. This was a hostage meeting. They're withholding contact and affection unless OP pays them off. Having your college paid for is a freaking gift most kids would be grateful for. But this son is mad at dad because 1, he didn't get the balance of his sister's college fund, and 2, some weird convoluted grievance on his sister's behalf. It's all about the money. If they got it, they'd still be low contact with Opie, not the a-hole. Oh, hell no. You paid in full for your son's college, but that's not enough for him? She ignored solid, loving advice and cut you off, and she thinks it's your fault for not reaching out to her. So you should jeopardize your future to benefit these greedy, immature, and selfish people who will absolutely not be in a position to help you should you need it as you age? It's hard for a parent to refuse to help, but you must. You have done more than enough, and they have to grow up. Her reasoning was, parents should let the kids make mistakes and then help them pick up the pieces. I said, heck no. My duty is to make sure you don't make life-altering mistakes. She said nobody's perfect, and people make mistakes and that's part of life. Ugh. Lol, screw them. They're already talking about getting inheritance from you. As in you dying? Entitled little shits. I wouldn't give them anything. Yeah, that's very entitled. Also, I am only in my early 60s. My house is paid off, but getting a reverse mortgage is risky. Don't do it at all. You have paid off that house with your hard work, only to go into debt again? Come on. Yeah, I am not going to do it. Their reasoning is that boomers had it good, since we can afford a house. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my deadbeat father's wife and daughter to leave me the heck alone? My dad walked out on me and my mom when I, 19 male, was a baby. He didn't pay child support, never saw me, didn't show up at court at any point, and never reached out to me. I always had questions about him, but my mom was always way too nice about it until I turned 18 and she laid it all out for me. She even showed me the file she had for court that showed all the times he didn't show up, how much money he owed, and the fact she chased after child support for years, but he always found a way to avoid paying. For 6 years, she tried to chase him through court until she gave up the fight and let the debt compile because it was costing her money and was taking from her ability to support us. He was the truest definition of a deadbeat. I have nothing good to say and no interest in establishing a relationship of any kind. In September, I got a friend request from this woman on Facebook. We had no friends in common, so I ignored it. Then I rejected it. She sent it again, so I accepted because I found it weird. A day later, a request came from a girl and I rejected that. But just like the other account, she sent it again. I saw they were friends, so I left it ignored. Then, a DM came from the account I had accepted a request from. Turns out, this was my deadbeat father's wife and oldest daughter. They wanted to find me because they felt I should know my family, and that I was now old enough to decide for myself. I told them I wasn't interested and to please leave me alone. I unfriended the wife and blocked both accounts and went private. But my Facebook is linked to my Instagram, and the daughter tried to reach me there. She said I didn't know the truth and deserved it, and how she and her siblings always wanted to know their older brother, and how her whole family was hoping we could all come together as a family. I blocked her there and ignored it. The daughter found another account of mine on another platform and has pestered me there ever since. It's constant new accounts, and I have reported some. I tried replying once more, saying I'm sorry she got her hopes up, but I'm not interested. The next day, I had messages from both the mother and daughter, saying my mom was the reason I didn't know my deadbeat father, and how she was abusive and awful and he had to leave. He hated walking away, but claimed she was dangerous and awful to be around, and I deserved to know the kind of thing I was raised by. And yeah, his daughter called my mom a thing. I responded that they were making a lot of accusations and defending him so much, but he left me with a supposedly abusive mother and made no attempt to save me from it in 19 years. And that tells me all I need to know about that man. I said once again they needed to leave me alone, and I wasn't going to have a relationship with any of them. I thought they were finally going to leave me alone, but then before Christmas, I got a long message from the two of them that basically gave me the sob story of a man who loved me, but feared my life would be worse if he stayed, and I'd be abused worse, and how he hoped my mom would abuse me less if he wasn't around. I didn't even address the rest. I told them to leave me the heck alone before I go to the police for harassment. I told them I would if they pushed it. The wife flipped out on me and said how dare I speak to them in such an abusive way, and clearly I'm a mother's son. She told me I should be ashamed of speaking to a teenager that way, who did nothing but try to love me. She is so mad that I had to turn my phone off because I kept getting notified of all these messages. I tried to stop them contacting me there, but the feature to stop them seems to be wonky on my account. I did go to the police, but I need to keep all of the messages going forward to make a case for anything. What I had wasn't enough. So yeah, am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. You stated your boundaries and they should respect them because at the end of the day, you get the last say, not them. You should just block them everywhere and put this behind you because they have no right to disrespect you like that. Sorry if my comment is a bit off the hinge. This post just made me a bit mad. They keep making new accounts on this platform since I can't stop non-followers from DMing me on there. The feature does nothing. Go after your deadbeat father for the accumulated child support. That might shut them up. Exactly. Just because you're of age now doesn't mean that debt goes away. Some deadbeat parents and their enablers believe the financial slate is wiped clean, and it is not. Even though my son is 34, my calculations are my son and I are still owed more than $60,000. Go get your bank, because you'll get your peace. He left because she was abusive, but never paid child support, presumably get paid under the table to avoid getting garnished, and has never actually reached out himself? Yeah, he is full of shit. Correct. Didn't even reach out when they found me online. Not the a-hole. I would look into any services that will help you go after him for the back child support. Maybe you can get his license taken away or his wages garnished since he wants to harass you through his wife and kid. Even if it's not him leading this, I've talked to my mom about trying. We both agree either he screwed himself over or his wife and their daughter did. But either way, we don't care, and he needs to pay now. Last story. Am I the a-hole for cutting off my family/parents for leaving on a trip when I was being induced to deliver my stillborn son? I was 28 weeks pregnant with my second child, my son, when he passed, and I had to schedule an induction. My parents were set to leave on a trip/cruise the day before. This trip was booked before I even became pregnant. They told me they couldn't cancel because they booked this trip with a group of relatives and would worry that these relatives would get lost without them. I acknowledged that I never spoke up to ask them to stay. I didn't want to beg anyone to be there for me. My parents were supposed to watch our daughter 7 when it was time for the birth. Since this was sudden and with my parents leaving, we were scrambling to arrange care. I was in the hospital for 3 days. My cousins came to visit and my parents called, thanked them for being there for me, and explained that they couldn't cancel their trip. It felt wrong that my parents were thanking other people for being there for me during the most traumatic time of my life. Nothing could ever make me get on a flight and leave my daughter if she was going through this. My parents were also posting pictures and videos on social media the entire length of their trip, knowing what I was going through back home. My parents came home from their trip a week before the funeral. I didn't talk to them at all. I answered one of my mom's calls and said I'd consider forgiving them if they both apologized. She said sorry and that her trip was terrible because she lost her luggage. That if she could do it over again, she wouldn't go because of her lost luggage. I told her they're bad parents, and I haven't picked up another one of her calls since. My dad hasn't tried to reach out. Some context. My parents also weren't there when my daughter was born. They went on a trip, which they booked after I was pregnant and left 2 days before my due date. I had an emergency C-section and complications with that delivery. I'm the eldest of 3, and my parents have always treated me differently. Worse, my sister is the golden child. This is not to diminish the childhood trauma my siblings experienced on their own. My sister and her fiancé think I'm being harsh/an a-hole. They think that this one thing doesn't make them bad parents. My sister's fiancé says he wouldn't have canceled a trip. They don't think my parents being there for me would have made a difference. When I said this is the worst thing my parents have done to me, they disagreed. I felt invalidated by them, so I cut them off too. They can't understand why I've cut them off and say they were questioning me to understand my feelings and trying to help me get over it by sharing their perspectives. My sister said she likes hearing others' perspectives and opinions, so I guess I should too. They don't get how my anger toward my parents is part of my grief. So am I the a-hole for being mad at my parents for not canceling their trip that was booked well before I was pregnant? Am I the a-hole for cutting off my sister and her fiancé for voicing their opinions? That lost luggage comment was so incredibly cold. You are losing nothing by cutting them out of your life. These people are strangers to you. That, along with this from the sister and her fiancé. When I said this is the worst thing my parents have done to me, they disagreed. How dare they decide what OP feels is hurtful? Just out of morbid curiosity, what actions were worse than abandoning you during this time? Not the a-hole, and your sister is nuts. They think the way my parents reacted to me telling them the news I was pregnant with my daughter was worse. My parents shamed me and berated me and basically told me I'd accomplished nothing in life. I was living apart from them with my husband already, and I was 27, with my own career. I don't feel that was worse than this, but they do. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, but you told them you understand that they can't cancel the trip, then got mad when they proceeded to go on the trip? You need to assert yourself. You can't say one thing and expect the other. I never told them I understood. They told me they couldn't cancel, and it was clear they weren't going to, so I didn't say anything. I was in shock at a time and just trying to survive. Asking people to be there for me was the last thing on my mind, to be honest. From what you've said so far, I don't think asking them to stay would have changed anything. They were already giving you reasons why they couldn't cancel without you asking them. The luggage comment is just the icing on the cake. Stick with people who have empathy. If you want to have your sister back, tell her the subject of your parents is literally a dead issue as far as you are concerned. I am so sorry for your loss.